The city of Chicago had always carried two faces. In the day, it shone with its towering skyline, the sound of trains rolling past, and the laughter of people crowding coffee shops along Michigan Avenue. But at night, it was different. The streets could feel colder, the shadows seemed longer, and sometimes danger walked right around the corner. For Emma Turner, a 24-year-old graduate student, Chicago was both home and challenge. She had moved from her small hometown in Ohio 2 years ago, chasing her dream of studying urban architecture. She loved the city, the energy, the buildings, the endless opportunities. But she also knew the city had its risks, especially for someone living alone in a quiet neighborhood on the outskirts. It all began on a rainy evening in October. Emma had just finished her late shift at the campus library. She pulled her coat tighter, clutching her bag as she hurried toward her apartment. The rain fell harder, and the streets seemed emptier than usual. That's when she noticed footsteps behind her. At first, she thought it was nothing, just another person heading home. But the steps matched hers, quickening when she quickened, slowing when she slowed. Her heart began to race. She took a sharp turn down a side street, hoping it was all her imagination. But then she heard a voice, a rough, unfamiliar one. "Hey, miss. Stop for a second." Emma didn't look back. She ran. Her shoes splashed against puddles as she sprinted down the dark street. The sound of footsteps chased her, closer and closer. She reached her apartment building, fumbling with her keys, her hands trembling. Just as she shoved the door open and slipped inside, she glanced back. A figure stood at the edge of the streetlight, staring at her. She didn't sleep that night. Every creak of the old building, every gust of wind against her window made her jump. The next day, shaken, she decided to tell her neighbor. His name was Henry Lawson, a 70-year-old retired history professor who had lived in the building for nearly 30 years. Everyone in the building knew him. He was the kind of man who fixed broken light bulbs in the hallway, watered the plants when tenants were away, and remembered everyone's birthdays. He lived alone, his wife having passed years ago, but his spirit was still warm and kind. Emma knocked on his door nervously. When Henry opened it, he looked surprised. "Emma? Everything all right?" She hesitated before nodding. I think someone followed me home last night." Henry's face grew serious. He invited her in, listening carefully as she explained. His apartment was filled with shelves of books, framed maps of old cities, and the scent of coffee. He leaned back in his chair, deep in thought. "You did the right thing telling me," he said. "This neighborhood is usually safe, but it sounds like someone had their eyes on you. You shouldn't be alone tonight." Emma shifted uncomfortably. "I'll be fine. I don't want to bother anyone." Henry shook his head firmly. "No, you're not a bother. If you feel unsafe, you can stay here tonight. I won't let you out of this room until I'm sure you're safe." The way he said it was protective, not controlling. His eyes carried both concern and wisdom. Emma could tell he wasn't joking. That evening, when darkness fell again, Emma returned to Henry's apartment. She brought her pillow and blanket, still feeling uncertain. He set her up in the spare bedroom, but before she could rest, there was a sound outside, the unmistakable crunch of footsteps in the courtyard. Henry motioned for her to stay quiet. He moved toward the window, carefully pulling the curtain just an inch. A tall figure stood near the gate, unmoving, watching the building. Emma's heart pounded. "That's him," she whispered. Henry closed the curtain and locked the window. "Don't worry," he said. "You're not going anywhere tonight. Stay in this room. I'll sit by the door." And he did. All night long, Henry kept watch. He sat in an old armchair by the bedroom door with a book in his lap, but his eyes never truly left the hallway. Every time Emma stirred awake, she saw him there, keeping guard. The storm outside raged, and the shadows of branches scraped against the window, but she felt safe for the first time since the night before. By morning, the figure outside had vanished. Henry made them breakfast, black coffee for himself, tea for Emma, and toast with jam. "You see," he said with a tired smile, "sometimes it's better to have someone nearby." But the story didn't end there. Over the next few days, Emma noticed strange things. A letter slipped under her door with no name on it. A knock late at night, followed by silence when she checked. The feeling of being watched whenever she walked down the street. Henry grew more concerned each day. "Whoever this is," he said one evening, "they're not giving up easily. We need to figure out who they are." Together, they began piecing things together. Henry used his years of research skills, and Emma kept track of every detail. Eventually, they discovered that the man was not a random stranger. He was connected to a local developer who wanted to buy out their apartment building. Emma had unknowingly spoken out against the development in a community meeting, and now she was being intimidated into silence. The night Henry had refused to let her out of the bedroom turned out to be more than just an act of kindness. It had protected her from real danger. With Henry's help, Emma gathered enough evidence to report the harassment to the police. The man following her was caught, and the developer's intimidation tactics were exposed. By the time spring came, the building was safe again. The tenants gathered to thank Henry and Emma for their courage. Emma had found more than just safety. She had found a true friend in Henry, someone who reminded her that kindness and bravery didn't fade with age. One evening, as they sat on the steps of the building watching the sun set behind Chicago's skyline, Emma smiled. "You know," she said, "that night you told me you wouldn't let me out of the bedroom until I was safe. I thought you were being too strict. But now I realize it was the best thing you could have done." Henry chuckled softly. "Sometimes, my dear, protecting someone means standing guard, even when they don't fully understand why." And for Emma, that lesson